and then Figliuolo's immutable law that an individual's compensation is inversely proportional to the number of PowerPoint slides they can look at before they have a stroke. Okay? I've seen a CEO take a deck that was 25 pages long that was handed to him. He went like this, threw it, and said, "Talk to me." 3 pages was the most you could get him past. Period. Don't have time for it. No, by the way, if you can't communicate succinctly with them, you got a problem. Okay? It's one of the most critical leadership skills out there. How are you going to tell your organization, get them to galvanize behind you and say, that's where we're going? It's about generating that compelling message. And oh, by the way, a lot of the organizations we've worked with don't really put a hard focus on a thought process. They give platform skills, right? Training. A lot of organizations say, well, don't stand in front of the screen, right? You know, stuff like that. Okay, I break every rule of platform skills. I don't really have it, but that's okay. Because it's about the message. It's about the thought process. To me, that's what's important. Can I convey it in a compelling manner? All right. So how do we do things today? Well, we get a bunch of data, we slice it, we dice it, we put it through the Ronco Datanator. Okay? Why? Because we can. Every once in a while, we find that chart that goes like this when we thought it'd go like this. Hey, there must be an insight there. We then put together this really thick, incomprehensible PowerPoint presentation that murders more trees than you can count. Now, let's get everybody together for a 2-hour meeting where we're just watching that clock go like this. Okay? And by the end of it, you have a bunch of human Pez dispensers. Happens. Who's been in that meeting? Who's held that meeting? Admission's the first step to remission, okay? It's a lengthy and inefficient process. You're doing a lot of analysis that's completely irrelevant. You don't get support for your ideas because no one knows what it is. How are you going to lead people who don't want to change if they don't even know where you're trying to lead them? And by the way, you lose credibility as a leader. When you can't get up and clearly articulate, we should do this because people get a little skittish. They get a little bit nervous behind you when it's not really clear, where are we going? I'm going to just kind of hang back and see if Mike gets fired because I don't really know what he's doing. So what am I advocating? It's a very structured thought process, and we'll go through each of these elements, okay? You'll start with a question. Then you say, here's the answer. I can't prove it, I just know it. Right? Dirty little secret. This is kind of like the scientific method, being hypothesis-driven, okay? You structure an argument and say, this is how I would prove that hypothesis. Write a little story about it, talk to people about the story, refine your story, then you go out, get the facts and information to support it, and eventually it all comes together in a nice, crisp presentation. Your end products are clear from the start. I know what the hypothesis is I'm trying to prove or disprove. I have direction from the start, from the get-go, which makes me more efficient in my fact gathering. Okay? And lastly, if you have the right question, if you're answering the right question and you have a compelling core idea, stakeholders are probably going to support what you're saying. With me? North-south? Mm-hmm.